I have a great idea,
But I'll
never do it. It might happen. Sure, the monkeys might fly out of my butt. I don't think so.
I don't see it happening.
Hey, it's me, Jon.
And me, Louise.
And you are listening to I Have a Great Idea, but I'll Never Do It, your favorite podcast, period.
It has been a while.
It's been years.
Been a while.
And every single time we do this now, it's like, it's been 9 months, it's been 1 year, and it's been years now since we've done one of these. But that's okay, because you're listening and we love you.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in on your own time.
Louise, how are you? I've missed you. We've spoken since we last recorded.
Oh yeah. I'm good. I'm good.
What's the latest in your life? What's
happening?
The
latest in my life, because the last time we recorded, I was like, hey, the reason that it took so long for us to record is I have a baby. And the news on that front is I don't have a baby anymore. I have a straight up kid.
You have a kid.
Yeah, and it's wild, and she's wild. Yeah, otherwise it's kind of the same slog.
The same slog. Well, you're living it up. I mean, I think that you have moved. Yeah, you've moved since we recorded last. You're living it up in the burbs.
Yep.
You've left the I'd say the comforts, but it's kind of uncomf in New York City, where you were before. So you've moved on to the comf. How's the comf going in the subs?
I gotta tell you, it's ultra comf. Yeah. I mean, I feel sometimes a little twinge of, oh man, I wish I could just run a fairway. But every other aspect of life, like laundry, dishes, prep space for food, groceries in the trunk, that stuff's all super fly in the burbs.
The creechy comfs. You got it full on. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what that dude's name is. It begins with an M, but he's it's whatever hierarchy of, it's like kids can't learn if they have to go to the bathroom. They can't learn if they're hungry. They can't learn if I'll look
Montessori?
It up.
No. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll look it up while you tell me how you are.
Oh, things are just, nutty as always out here in Portland, Oregon. I'm just kind of living my life. I've been very active, in contrast to this podcast where we do this once every blue moon. Anytime there's maybe like an eclipse or a particular asteroid is passing by, I do that show once a week. So that's been, taking up a lot of my time in a very good way. That's the Ruined Childhoods podcast that I do with my brother Dan, where we talk about cult and classic movies, and we, kind of take a look at it from a modern lens and see what we would do given the opportunity to like bring it back. And we've been doing that for, it's going to be 5 years, I think, in January. And we're, I think, 212 episodes in. We're going to record the 213th tonight, which is our episode on Blue Hawaii, the Elvis movie. Because we're doing an episode for every U.S. state plus D.C. and Puerto Rico, and we're going alphabetically. So, A, Sweet Home Alabama. Ooh, there's some sound coming in from you.
There sure is.
What just happened?
I think that we live in a smart home, and some speakers have been selected.
Oh no.
Unintentionally. And I am not super practiced at this.
Oh, it stopped.
It didn't.
Oh, no, it didn't.
It didn't. I'm going to have to call in. Okay, wait,
call
maybe.
IT.
That's right. Stop? Call in IT. It did stop. Thanks.
So yeah, we've been doing these podcast episodes, and we just did Georgia, which was Smokey and the Bandit, and which takes place kind of bookended in Georgia. It's a movie where it starts in Georgia, they go to Texas, then they come back to Georgia, and then next is Hawaii, and we're doing the Elvis movie Blue Hawaii, which is working out in a really fun way timing wise, considering the release of Priscilla, which I haven't seen yet, but I am looking forward to seeing, especially because I was so disappointed with Elvis, the movie Elvis.
Right, right.
I'm also
Not the
disappointed in
man.
the person Elvis, because shame on you. You were not a good guy. So, yeah.
You
Tisk,
do the
tisk.
best you can until you can do better.
Yeah. He was never given the proper guidance to be a good guy.
Right.
So there's that.
And he was living in an era of a lot of not good guys.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I feel
not
like
giving him a pass, just
no. He was definitely given every opportunity to be a creep, but was never told maybe you shouldn't do that.
right.
And
Right.
yeah, there was not the sensibilities that we have now.
Growing and changing.
Yeah. Speaking of growing and changing, I feel like when we last recorded, I don't think I even had my dog Rufio, and I'm looking at him right now. He's a 2-year-old now, and he's bopping around with the other dog, and it's just like, oh, you picked now to play? You picked right now to be jumping around while I'm recording an audio podcast with Louise talking about great ideas that we'll never do. Speaking of which, Louise, what's
I tell you
been
what, though,
brewing
a
in
great
your bean?
idea is a second dog. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, sometimes I say yes, 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 and other times I say why did I do this? But we'll see what happens when my senior dog Daisy has moved out to the farm out in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, although I mean she's going to be 15 in a few weeks, and I swear she is showing no signs of slowing down. So
Yay.
she'll live forever.
Yeah, my dog too. He's
Yeah.
going to be around forever. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Yeah, we've talked about him plenty on the podcast. Oh my God. So if anybody can hear the tap, tap, tapping, that is Rufio just running around like crazy. So yeah, Louise, aside from second dogs, what other great ideas have you been having over the past few years?
So a couple of them that I'm looking back to my notes, I no longer know what they mean. But one of them is visually educational clothing for new parents. And I don't know what that means anymore.
Visually educational clothing for new parents. So, okay, I'm trying to like reverse engineer this.
Yeah.
Is it clothing that a new parent wears that's saying like, I'm on very little sleep, my kid has croup, I've got all of these responsibilities, my partner is out of town, give me a break?
I didn't
Is that it?
I didn't think it was going to be like a graphic tee or a tee that had like a paragraph of words to explain things, but I think it was something like, oh, of course you're going to sleep belly to belly with your baby on your chest, and here's this place to put them that's safe. Like, I don't even know, dude. That was like, it's the first idea of the pod back. And it was just also kind of a throwaway, so we don't have to spend too much time there. But yeah, man.
Well, something that I love about this is like, we spoke the other day, and you texted me just with a great idea that you would never do, and I was like, why don't we just record an episode? And it was like, yeah, of course. And
of course
I was thinking that I was going to have to start from scratch with some fresh ideas, but past me put little additions into my notes. So I've got a few, and luckily I'm able to figure out exactly what they were all about.
Great.
Should I hit you with one?
Hit me with one.
Okay. This one, and maybe it helps that I wrote out like a little bit of an explanation. Not saying you have to do what I do,
I was
but
sleep
it
deprived.
helps. Of course you were. So I'm thinking like a book style item, some sort of like portfolio that you can keep multiple pairs of eyeglasses in. Because there's going to be different circumstances where maybe you're going to be at a more formal event and you want to wear something a little classier. Maybe you're going to like an art gallery thing and you want to have your funky red ones on. Or maybe it's like, all right, I'm going to be going out and I'm not going to have any, pockets or anything, but I'm going to be in changing situations. I have this pair that's got those dorky transition lenses in, which by the way, I have those, and I'm saying dorky because I speak from experience, not judging anybody else. And it's like, yes, that would be the situation that would make the most sense for this opportunity. So you kind of go through, it's like a little closet, but for your eyewear.
I like it.
You like
And
it?
it makes it like a little more streamlined in packing if it's just like a multiple book
Yeah.
case of glasses, because then you don't have to keep track of 3 or 4 different eyeglass cases
Yeah.
in your suitcase, your carry-on, your personal item, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I like it.
Sure.
Do you have a funky
yeah.
name?
I don't have. See, you're the one that comes up with the funky names, and
Okay.
I feel like I focus more on just like, okay, what's the purpose, and then maybe we can kind of come up with something in real time, like face folio or something like that.
Ooh, I like it. I like
Did we
it.
just strike gold?
We may have.
I mean, the
Yeah.
problem is that if your prescription changes, then and this is for people who have multiple pairs of eyeglasses.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But I often think if I'm going to an event,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pop contacts in for that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is more of a lady issue, because then I'm like, but if I have false lashes on and they're going to hit my lenses and they're going to separate out all funny, might as well just wear contacts.
Or do you have a pair of eyeglasses that would complement false eyelashes? So maybe they sit a little bit further away, or maybe they are a little bit larger or smaller so that it wouldn't interfere.
I don't have that, but if glasses weren't as expensive, I would get some.
True that.
I would
True
get
that.
some. Yeah.
Why are they so I know there's a lot of companies out there that I see advertised on like my Instagram that are budget friendly, and I think it's because like, cutting out the middleman of the physical store, the retail experience. So it cuts costs down a little bit. And some of them are just like, glasses cost too much, we're not going to charge you that. And I feel like organizations like Warby Parker, kind of started with that mindset, but
Yeah.
I don't know. They've kind of fallen out of favor, I feel. I don't know. I haven't gotten new glasses in a while.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
I haven't either. Totally switching gears, but still
Yeah.
on the train of an idea. Do you remember what my very first idea was on the very first of our episodes?
The first episode was called Let Sleeping Dogs Wake Up. I know that was the episode title. So I want to say it had something to do with waking up and dogs.
Oh my gosh. So now I might be a liar. It could have been the second episode.
But we never just do one idea. So that could be like your second idea, but just was in the first episode.
Okay.
So that is to say, I don't know if that was the first idea. Go on.
Okay. It had to do with changing light bulbs in a very high ceiling.
Yes.
In an apartment building.
Mhm.
Turns out the home I live in the burbs also has high ceilings in one room. And I'm like, oh man, we're going to have to get like another giant ladder. But what if, riddle me this,
I will.
if light bulb fixtures in high ceilings had retractable cords in the way that vacuums do. So you could just get it, pull it on down, change it on out, give it a little boop boop,
Joink.
and have it go right back up.
I like.
Retractable light bulbs. Cords.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's not something that you would see until you have to use it. Now, the question is, because, and I want to say that there's even like, a new federal regulation as of somewhat recently that, incandescent bulbs are a thing of the past, and like LED and maybe fluorescent are the only ones that you probably still can get. So you have an LED bulb. Are you going to remember in 25 years when that bulb goes out that this is the kind of the kind of lighting fixture that you have in your tall ceiling? Or are you going to go to like, you go through the lengths because it's long, to, have like a retractable pole to do something. And then like you like are like, why isn't this bulb unscrewing properly? And then you think that the whole thing is broken. You have an electrician come out, you have a handy person come out, you have a general contractor come out to figure out what's going on with your light situation. And they're just like, hey, ding dong, zeep.
Yeah. Well, light bulbs there's I listened to a weird podcast once about light bulbs where like they're like the first light bulbs probably still work because they made them to work that way. And then there were these like feuding light bulb companies, and they like made the lights go out so that they could have people buy light bulbs more often and make tons of money. But I want to know, when we're supposed to be living in the Jetsons era, when is that? When is that? Because I feel like people in the 50s and the early 60s thought we'd be there by now.
I think that if you look at where we are right now and you look at some of the stuff that we do have, I feel like we've gone too far in some ways.
Okay.
And also it's like, was it like Rosie the robot? Is that the name of the, robot maid? It's like, yeah, it's like we kind of have that in a lot of like, you were just talking about your connected smart home with smart speakers, and the Jetsons didn't have that. They had a robot that had a wheel that went around and did stuff. Yeah. And we have smart refrigerators and smart ovens and smart televisions and speakers and all these other things that they weren't thinking of in the 60s.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. This just in. We are living in the Jetsons era.
We're living in a post-Jetsons era. I think that the only thing is like space travel is still, commercial space travel is, I don't know. We're in this constant debate of like, is it the future? Are we on the cusp of doing this? Is this the way that we save our planet by abandoning it and going to another one? How we have I would say the Elon Musks and the Jeff Bezoses who have been exploring privatized space travel, and the Richard Bransons, but seeing as how it's kind of like scoffed at unless you are the ultra elite, and by that I mean ultra wealthy. They're not elite, they're worse. So you have the ultra worse that are the ones that are actually kind of taking more advantage of this. Where do we go from there? Is this something that we even want anymore? I feel like as a civilization, we kind of got this idea of like, oh, we're gonna have this thing, and here we're going to the moon and everything. And now it's just like, okay, but let's just try to save our own planet. And how about we create less space debris by launching fewer rockets? And yes, I understand satellites have their benefits and things like that, but like, how wasteful is it and how impactful is it on our own planet's environment to do these things?
Yeah. Very good points.
Do you want me to say something less depressing and go to a different idea?
Maybe. I will ask you though, if you had the opportunity to like ride along for free, would you go?
Ooh, for free. Oof. I think it depends on the circumstance.
Okay.
It depends on who is the person, like, where is this coming from? If this is coming from Elon Musk, I will not accept a free ride on your space shuttle. Because first of all, I don't trust it. Second of all, I wouldn't take a free Tesla if it was offered to me, and those are on the road and unsafe. Like, I do not want to do anything that would benefit that dude. So like a Goodwill free ticket to this dude who's, living off PB&J in Portland, Oregon, I don't think it's going to fly. But if I don't even know who it would be that would, come in and swoop in. New person. Okay. Al Gore. Al Gore comes in and is just like, they've cracked the code. I've been working with this team and I trust them 1,000%. And the way that they're doing things is revolutionary. It is not harmful at all to our planet. It's based on a slingshot system. You are trebucheted into the stratosphere and out into outer space. And from there is a system that, very safely can bring people to the moon, another planet, do whatever, or just come right back. And you are the purchaser of the 1 zillionth container of peanut butter. So you have officially won a ticket on this guaranteed safe journey into outer space. My name is Al Gore, and I approve this message. John, pack your bags.
And then you're going.
And then I'm going. I'm strapping on a diaper or whatever, you got to do to like make that happen. And, just kind of shooting for the stars. Wow.
I'm not going.
You're not going.
No, free or not. I'm not going. That's just one of those things where I was like, don't need it.
See, you're living in a post-Jetsons future.
I'm living in a post-Jetsons future. That's
not
right.
Interested
because
in space.
No, there's just so many things. Like I've never been skydiving. I don't need to.
Not interested.
That's fine. No, That's okay. And what's another good example of something that I'm not going to do? I don't need to run 26.2 miles. I don't need to. I'm really excited for other people that are really excited to have that as an accomplishment. I don't need to.
I think that even if I was being chased by a very hungry lion at maybe 7 miles, I'd be like, you know what? At this point, I'm no good to anybody. So I may as well be some good to this lion. That's it. There's no reason why I need to run 26.2 miles.
Not at
or
one time.
13.1 miles for that matter.
I have done that.
Yeah, have you really?
Yeah, with my mom. We did the Princess Half Marathon in Walt Disney World. And at each mile marker, they had like a different sort of attraction. At one of the miles was like all of the Disney princes. And so you got to see like Prince Charming and Aladdin and whatever. And then at another mile marker, because it was around the time that The Princess and the Frog came out, there was this like gospel choir like singing you so that you could keep motivated. Anywho, we
and
finished
then did they give you
race.
beignets at the end?
That would have been amazing.
Yeah. Or like instead of giving you like the little cup of water or Gatorade or whatever, it's just like powdered sugar and fried dough.
You just have to immediately go to the side of the race course and just bomb. No, but we finished and I was like, wow, that's halfway. That's good enough.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
I'm endlessly impressed with other people, but for me.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
If you have any rebuttal for us, greatideapod@gmail.com. Write in. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone number, 304-804-IDEA, is defunct. It belongs to somebody else at this point.
I wonder if they still get phone calls.
Inactive. Oh, from the one person who called us?
Who
lives
like
with you? Not to pull back the curtain too much.
We did get another call once, I think.
We have gotten calls, yes. It's entirely, I think I'm going to try and go back and scrub that phone number from any of like episode descriptions and things like that, so that there's somebody out there with a 304 area code that wherever that is, that isn't like so angry at us.
But every now and then, don't you think it's like those phone calls that people, or those text messages people get like, hey, I'm running late, but I'm going to be to Thanksgiving. I don't know who this is, but you're more than welcome to come.
The problem is that like there are so many of those. Do you ever get those like scam texts where it's somebody that seems like it's a wrong number, but then they say something like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like I mean, just checking to see, is that something that you'd be interested in? Like, and kind of going, you've
No.
never gotten anything like that? This one day
No.
I got something like that, and I was recording a podcast episode for Ruined Childhoods with my brother Dan, and he was like, hold on, I got this text and it's this wrong number. It's like, was it about picking up a cake? I'm actually gonna. Do I have my phone on me? I'm using my phone as my camera. Otherwise, I'd look it up. But it was about like, it was somebody texting, just being like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. Can I pick up my cake tomorrow instead?" And it seems like such a normal text message that you would think like, "Oh, this is just somebody's wrong number. I must have a very similar number to a bakery." And then they kind of continue and be like, "Oh, is this not Lily's bakery or whatever?" And it's like they somehow make it seem so authentic that it like they
Would you
trap
be
you into
interested in
something.
picking up a cake? Now that I think about it, where can I pick one up?
I love picking up cakes.
Weird. No, I've never received one of those. Now I kind of want one.
Do you have any ideas in your docket that are related to food or cakes or anything, or text messages?
No.
Because everything I have is very unrelated.
Yeah, I don't have a good segue. I'm going to just say that.
Well, then lay one on me. Lay something on me.
This one I got to give credit where credit is due. The said listener, who lives in the same house that I live in, would like credit for this. And the kicker is, we have the technology.
Ooh.
Okay. It's auto-tune earplugs. So you're at a coffee shop and you're writing your screenplay or doing whatever. And all of a sudden, it's like an open mic. And so gets up with their guitar and they're like learning how to perform in public. And you just put your little in-ear in that auto-tunes and like click
and
that little button
and
all of a sudden it's some lovely music happening. And it's like, oh, yeah. Okay. Grooving.
Okay, first thoughts. If I'm in a coffee shop and somebody picks up a guitar, I am out the door before they start singing. I am on to the next coffee shop. I am not there to be entertained. I only want to be entertained at a coffee shop if it is a listed event sanctioned by said coffee shop. In which case, this is a thing and it's on me if I'm there and this starts happening because it has been posted before I walked in that this is going to be happening. So deal with it. But that said, even in those situations, you're not always going to get the best entertainment. Somebody might be a little pitchy.
Right. Here's another example that actually might be a little bit better and more useful to people who are musically inclined. But I just came from a toddler's birthday party. I didn't just, but yesterday. Mm-hmm. And one of my biggest pet peeves in life is the way in which happy birthday is sung to people. And we'll call it like a dirge. Basically, it's the most depressing, horrifying thing that you're having to listen to. And the whole point is to celebrate and make the person feel special. And it's depressing.
Yeah.
So you either like pick up the pace, which really, really helps. There's a beginning part of the song that is now part of our family tradition. From, I think her name's Ruth Lyons, but she was like a radio personality.
This episode is very lion heavy.
It is. Ooh, heavy on the lions. She was like a radio personality in Ohio in like, whatever, the 30s. I don't even know. And she has the beginning to Happy Birthday and it's awesome. And it basically shuts everybody up at the party so that they listen to your little prequel. And by the time it's Happy Birthday, everybody's like, let's just sing Happy Birthday to you. Okay, but you could turn on your little auto-tune headphones and now something that normally sounds like cats dying is kind of delightful for you, for the wearer.
I'm fascinated. I mean, I think it's a really cool idea. And it's like we already have conditioned society to, completely accept in-ear, like little earbud, AirPod type things.
Of
so
course.
If it's a functionality on something like like an AirPod or a Google Bud, whatever those things are called, like, absolutely. Because it's not weird to see them in somebody's ear.
Right. Or this is not a paid ad at all, but I have been targeted and purchased and used the Loop earplugs for like concerts, or if you have like a toddler, or if you
the
just
earplugs.
Yeah. But if you have like the earplug and it's got that little electrical feature and you just go boop and turn it on. Because look, if you're at a toddler birthday party, chances are there will be screaming kids and you might need to wear those anyway. But they're like, you know, kind of small and unassuming. And it's just another little thing that you can add to make life a little bit more enjoyable.
I like also the idea of something that, you know, other headphones are connected to your phone or something else, and it's kind of feeding in with something. In those, it seems like its own separate thing. Kind of like how a hearing aid, it functions just on its own, is its own thing. Some of them might be connected to something else, but it's its own special thing. And I like the idea of like maybe like alternate features where maybe you could have the auto tune feature, or let's say you are, I don't know, being slungshot into space, and like it's something that could maybe like generate a score, like so that like your life has a score to it.
I love it.
You can switch it to like a Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, David Fincher-esque kind of vibe if you're feeling that, or like a Hans Zimmer, Christopher Nolan kind of vibe if that's what you're going for, especially flying into space, you know, that would feel appropriate. And yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. Do you have a name for this device?
I don't. I know. Auto-tune earplugs.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is auto-tune a
AEP.
trademarked... Is autotune a trademarked name for something, or is it?
I think it's one of those things like Kleenex.
But that is a trademarked name.
I know,
so,
but now it's sort of like interchangeable, or
right.
Q-tip. Like, who's going to say cotton swab?
Yeah, nobody. A doctor? I don't know. I will say, I never say Kleenex.
What do you say? Tissue.
Tissue.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't remember specifically ever having, like, growing up in a brand loyal Kleenex household. I remember a lot of Puffs Plus. I don't know if that's really around anymore. I don't even know. If I have the option to buy something that's not super name brandy, I try to do that. Not saying that it's like, you know, Kroger brand or store brand type stuff, but like specialty brand. I'm not bougie. These things are also very cheap, but like I feel like all those things are owned by like pharmaceutical companies when it comes down to it. So
yeah,
you know, who are we really funding? Elon Musk.
Ugh.
I know. Ugh. So yeah,
we're
I
a
feel
toilet
like...
paper family.
What's that?
We're a toilet paper family. Like, it's already in the bathroom. You got to blow your nose, just grab a little. Why do we need an extra box to sit on a counter?
I very infrequently buy boxes of tissues. However, I just impulse bought like a dozen because I purchased, and this is not to like, you know, buzz market some other company, but I just bought like I don't know, like 50 rolls of toilet paper from a company called Who Gives a Crap that uses like zero plastic. That. Yeah, I love it. It's fantastic. And a box of that lasts me like 2 years. And like at the end, they're just like, hey, here's some other stuff. And it's like, tissues? Sure. I'm sure I need those too. Tack it on. And I got the most gigantic box and I just sorted it all out and put it away yesterday. But I'm never going to be like, oh, can you go pass me a Who Gives a Crap?
No,
that's
never.
not going to happen.
No.
Right. So anyway, auto-tune. I like it. The auto-tune earplug.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got something that I think kind of goes with earphones, headphones, earplugs. It is an idea for a podcast, which is like, oh, imagine that. And we've never done that before. An idea for a podcast. So doing my podcast about movies, I frequently, I try to do as much research as possible. So aside from just like watching a movie, it's like if there's a documentary
totally
about
different than this podcast where we do absolutely no research.
No research. Sometimes I'll be like, wait, does this exist? And certainly none of the things that we're talking about right now exist. I'm sure I don't know, maybe there is something for eyeglasses at this point, but at the time there wasn't. And so I like to do as much research as possible so that I can kind of go in with an arsenal of facts and information, and I come to things with an informed perspective rather than somebody coming at me being like, actually, anyway. So, what I always really wish I could do is when there is a movie that is not one that's adapted from a book, because in some cases I have read the book, or like I try to squeeze in like as much as I can of a book that a movie is adapted from. But and I don't know how much this happens anymore, but novelizations based on movies were a big thing, especially like in the 80s and 90s. And you sometimes read about these novelizations and it's like they change certain things about it that maybe just work better for the book. And I feel like that's an entire area that I don't know too much about. I know people collect them, and certainly people read them, but I'd love to have a podcast called Movie: the Novelization: the Podcast. So it's a podcast just about novelizations of movies. If this has been done with a different name, perhaps. Since I said that, I don't know. I haven't researched it since I wrote down that idea.
That is in depth. But
I feel like also they're pretty quick reads.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like a beach read kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because I've certainly adaptations of movies from books, that's its own huge thing.
Yeah.
And like the book has to be a certain level of incredible and have already had some notoriety in order for it to be adapted into a film. But a movie only has to be enjoyable to a certain level to have a novelization based on it, which I think is just like another way to just make more money off of the IP.
Sure.
So that's what I got for that. But I'm not
I like
doing
it though. No. But I would listen if somebody else did it.
What podcasts are you listening to lately?
Oh boy. Well, I was listening for a while to The Retrievals, which is I think it's a serial show, but it was about how Yale University had a nurse that was swapping out the opioid for saline. And these women were having egg extractions on basically like no pain management at all, and being like, hey, I feel all of this. And they were like, well, you shouldn't because you have the meds. And it like turns out that this like nurse had been like siphoning it off. But then it was kind of, I think I'm one episode from finishing what they have released already. And I don't know if there's going to be subsequent seasons of it because it didn't tie up nicely like a bow. But
is this true?
Yeah.
Thing? Okay.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with true crime stuff because I just feel too much for the victims of these things.
Yes.
So I prefer my crime to be fictional.
Yeah. I this is not a podcast, but a documentary that I just watched was Take Care of Maya. I don't know if you've heard anything about it.
Oh, I have heard of this one.
Yeah, after I watched it, I was feeling some feelings as a mother of a daughter, and and it was really hard. And my husband was like, "What? Why would you do that? you could use your free time in any way that you'd like, and this is what you did to yourself."
In this one, was this a Munchausen by proxy situation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember too much about it, but I have heard about it.
Yeah, and I think that it happened, 7, 8, 9 years ago, and they just had the trial because they kept delaying. And by they, I mean the hospital and their representation.
Of course.
Yeah. Anyway, and another podcast I've been listening to a lot lately is called 60 Songs That Define the 90s. And there's more than 60 episodes now, but it's been really a lovely little walk down memory lane, and also sort of like hearing about songs that were popular when I was a certain age and how they affected me at the time. And then hearing it again with all of this other perspective, because I'm at a different place in my life, and because things are wild. Just Chris and I had the radio on the other day, and there was a song. I'm trying to think of what it was, and I can't, but I'm pretty sure it was from the 70s. Maybe it was Casey and the Gang. That's a band? Yeah.
Casey and the Sunshine Band?
Okay, great. And then like
or
right
Cool
after
and the Gang.
Oh, Cool and the Gang.
Okay.
Thanks. And then like the very next song was like Boys to Men.
Okay.
And then the next song was Toto. And then like the next song was, I don't know, Brandy. It was just it felt really whiplash for me. And then I had to be reminded, they're all oldies. We're old now. I know. Get off my lawn.
I feel like music of the 90s, to say that there are 60 songs that define the 90s is tricky because it needs to be objective. And I do recognize that there are certain songs that influenced music, from that point on. Smells Like Teen Spirit being one of them, where it's like, oh, when that came out, that's the big song from this big album that really changed things and influenced so many other musicians. That I can recognize as being something that was, special and defining. Motown Philly, that's something that definitely, created a ripple effect. And I don't know what the 60 songs were that are covered on this podcast, or I guess 60 plus songs. But I also know that there's like large segments of 90s music that never really came into my world, or it's like I was aware of them, but they had no impact on me or the trajectory of my life that I knew. So I'd be really curious to kind of hear how they explain out some of that music, because there's a lot of, probably R&B that I wasn't listening to at the time that probably comes up. I don't know, like give me some examples of some of the songs.
So here's an example then. Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Not in my world at all.
But the thing about it is, apparently she wrote it in 20 minutes. Get it, Mariah? That's amazing. Apparently she had like really sort of made it from fantasy. Like it wasn't a nostalgic for any type of Christmas that she had ever experienced. It was sort of like, this is kind of what I wish Christmas was.
Good choice of words with fantasy right there.
Hey.
Yeah.
And then just the construction of the song and why we like it, and the chord progressions, and like in the jazziness of it makes us, and the chord stacking in the way that it is makes it feel timeless in a way that like maybe other artists who do Christmas albums and have Christmas songs like don't have the same timelessness. And it somehow feels super, super old and fits in with, Frank Sinatra and Johnny Mathis in this, but also fits in, like you hear it today at a mall and you're like, yes, present moment. And it's just wild. Anyway, it's cool how they break it down. They have guests who are experts in their field talk about things that have to do with the song or what it meant to them. Sure. It's just really nice. It's like, let's get back on track for us, if that's okay, because this pairs perfectly with an idea that I had.
Do it.
Okay, idea. It's a toy company, but all of the products are manifestations of misheard lyrics. So the toy company sells a cross-eyed bear that you gave to me.
Oh, a cross-eyed bear.
A cross-eyed bear. And you could have like 2 plushy coffee to-go cups that are green and have a mermaid on them that are like loving each other. Taylor Swift, Blank Space, got a pair of Starbucks Lovers.
Oh,
But
okay.
and then there was a song called Bad Day.
Okay.
And there was a section in it where he says, like, I don't need no Care-a-naut. So it's an astronaut, but it's a Care Bear. That's not really what the words are. And then my personal favorite, there's a friend of a whale, and it's Sammy and the Whale.
Oh, okay.
But that's not
Rusted
what it is
Root.
either.
That's
right.
My first concert.
Whoa!
There you go.
So, etc.
I'm looking up on Hollywood Reporter. There's like what is this called? The most commonly misheard lyrics in popular songs.
As toys?
And
No.
No. There's one, ABBA says feel the beat on the tambourine, but it's heard as feel the beat on the tangerine. Maybe that's a beat, like a beet in a tangerine. I don't know. Let's see.
Like a little hardcore inside of a plushie.
Yeah, exactly. We built the city on rock and roll is sometimes heard as we built the city on sausage rolls. I never heard of that one.
No. Somebody was taking some editorial liberties at the Hollywood
Reporter.
A
lot of these I'm like, nobody has ever thought this before. And the Beatles, I want to hold your hand. I guess sometimes people sing is I want to hold your ham. Nobody does
that. Children? No. Children might do that?
No. Nope. This is wrong.
Have you ever seen
Sorry, Hollywood Reporter.
There could also be I'm trying to think of what it was. It was a Christina Aguilera song, and I watched it on YouTube a lot, but it was misheard lyrics, but the entire Ain't No Weatherman.
I don't know Christina Aguilera all that well.
Oh. Okay, so
I know Genie in a Bottle, kind of.
Kind of. Okay. No, there's a song that's like, ain't no other man, it's true. Anyway, and it's Ain't No Weatherman, but the whole YouTube video is mishearing every lyric. And there's a blurry walrus, I think, in one of them, and you could have a toy that's sort of
The other one, and I don't know how you do this as a toy, is with Jimi Hendrix, Excuse Me While I Kiss This Guy instead of Kiss the Sky. That's one that always seems to come up. There's
maybe it's this.
You're doing a thing visually.
That's right, on a podcast. So I put my finger
up. You're
up.
thinking what the toy would look like?
What the toy would be. It's the finger up. It's the turned cheek, and it's a kiss.
A little smooch to a dude. Intended for a dude. So, there's a store that's in Portland, and I'm sure that these items are sold mostly anywhere, considering we have the internet. But it's like, mugs and stuff like that have misheard lyrics written on them. So it would pair so nicely with something like that.
In gift shops all over America.
All over America and elsewhere. Internationally.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Mishearing lyrics is a worldwide phenomenon.
And it could be a lucrative business for someone, but not us.
For someone. Yeah. So, Louise, we're about 45 minutes into this. And even though I've got some other stuff, I feel like we should leave that for a few years from now when we record our next episode. So on our last episode, you challenged me to come up with an idea for washer dryers for laundry systems. And it was great timing that I looked up to see what we were talking about, because 2 nights ago, I had a dream. And part of the dream was that I was at a laundromat. It did not look like a laundromat. It looked more like an arcade. There were very tall, very high ceilings. I'm sure the light bulbs were impossible to change there. And there were like laundry units that were stacked really high. You probably had to use some of those those old fashioned library ladders that are on like the rails to like get to the things. I don't know. I wasn't working there, but it was a laundromat, but it was also a movie theater. Ooh. And yes, laundry machines make a lot of noise. Not a great place to watch a movie, but it was like the machines were on one side of a wall and the other side was this movie theater. And I know that given my druthers, if I had my druthers, what's the proper use of the word druthers? If druthers were there, folding laundry would happen while consuming some form of media, watching a movie or something like that. So I feel like there is a world in which we could have, there are laundromats that have like bars in them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why not a movie theater?
Yeah, I was going to say
So-
you could put your laundry in, go
Mhm.
into the little theater, watch whatever's playing,
Sure.
come out, change it to the dryer, double
Yeah.
feature, go pick up your laundry from the dryer,
Right.
take it home.
Yeah, because typically you have, your laundry might take 2 hours,
Yeah.
something like that.
And it's also
So-
self-care.
Yeah.
It's taking the time to also not multitask and do something else and consume a little.
It doesn't have to be a full-size movie theater. It could be a smaller screening room because you're not going to have enough machines to facilitate, 150 people watching a movie. But let's say there are movies that start at certain times. Maybe you have a movie where you can do a 15-minute intermission to go change your laundry out.
Yeah.
And there's going to be somebody out there, manning the concession stand, monitoring to make sure that no one's stealing anybody's clothes.
Yeah.
So it could work.
I think also what could be cool is if maybe we did it. So I follow this guy and I can't remember his handle on Instagram, but he used to be in the fashion world and now he's still in the fashion world, but he's now like an influencer or something. And he's basically talking about on his entire Instagram page how you don't have to take your clothes to the dry cleaner anymore. Essentially, you can wash all of your clothes in.
Okay, I'm picturing Isaac Mizrahi.
It's not him because I know who that is.
Okay.
But
is it somebody kind of like that where it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay. Maybe
Yeah.
in the early 2000s they had a moment.
maybe, yeah. And so he was also saying, a lot of washers now, like a lot of washers have a quick cycle that's maybe 35 or 25 minutes rather than the full cycle. And what a lot of people don't take enough advantage of is the quick cycle. First of all, your clothes are not as dirty as you think. Second of all, it's a smart appliance and can sense the load size and whatever else. And as long as you're adding the appropriate amount of soap and have the spin cycle and, it's not over full, that the quick cycle is actually a much better option.
Mm-hmm.
So hear me out. At the movie theater laundromat, you have, like they used to do, quick shorter film, or like they do with the Bryant Park movie. It's an old timey,
Like a
like Looney
newsreel or a
Tunes.
short, yeah.
Yeah. For, 15, 20 minutes while your load does the quick load. And then you can take the full feature to do the drying because that just takes longer.
Yeah, that's true.
Ooh, I like it. This was a good challenge.
Thank you. Snappy. I don't know. I mean, this was years ago, so you probably had a reason for challenging me to laundry at the time where maybe you needed something. And my challenge for you is also not relevant anymore because I challenged you to tree houses because at the time I was living in a house where there were lots of trees in the backyard. Now, not as many trees. I moved to a different place.
Yeah. But okay, so tree houses though. And I thought when I looked at what you had challenged me to when I was going through my notes, I was like, oh man, I'm going to have to like quick do homework and make up something. I put in a note from a while ago. So I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And the idea that I had is I'm just going to first disclaimer, it's a fantasy.
Okay. Mariah
But
Carey.
Sweet, sweet fantasy treehouse. It's not going to be good for red sequoias, but
Okay.
I want Airbnbs in giant trees
Mm-hmm.
in the way that illustrated woodland creatures enjoyed
Oh.
trees in books. I want plush lazy boy recliners. I want like little pots of tea and
You
like,
want the Celestial Seasoning Sleepy Time Tea Bear living room setup in a tree.
That's right.
Yeah.
that you can Airbnb out. So it's like I said, not good for the trees.
Yeah.
But
So you in a tree. So like not a structure built around a tree. In a tree.
in a tree, like if it's in a giant tree and there's like the knot from where a branch is no longer and that has been burrowed out and you somehow have to get up there with maybe a rope and dowel type ladder that can be like let down and let up. But yeah, then you get in there and you've got your little cozy Afghans and you have your little doilies on the armchairs.
Yeah.
On the armrests of the armchairs.
You know, I know somebody who stayed in one of the like Airbnb like treehouse things, and they're just like, yeah, the thing they don't really tell you or that they gloss over in a lot of these things is like, there's no bathrooms in these things. You have to like go somewhere else to use a bathroom. Like there's like maybe a house that's like a common area for this kind of series of tree houses to sleep in. But if you want to do your business, there's nowhere to do that. There's no plumbing in this treehouse.
It's weird that they would gloss that over.
Yeah, well, I think that the whimsy and the idea of like sleeping in a decked out treehouse is the selling point, and the logistics of its functionality maybe are a little considered just a little bit less.
Yes. The other thing I was thinking,
you're ding-donging over there.
It's, I don't know what's happening. No one ever visits or comes over or like
plays music on your smart speakers. No kidding.
Yeah. The other idea.
Maybe it's the ding-dong idea sound.
I have an idea. It's
in that one.
It's turning like an outdoor play system with like swings and a slide easily into a place that you could camp at night. Like maybe it's got the like roll down tarps that you tie.
Yeah.
So they're just kits that you could buy to make an already existing like structure in your backyard.
Right.
Treehouse like.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
A repurposing.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. It's also, less to do, fewer materials.
Yeah. And you could make it canvas, like waxed canvas. So it could like.
That's what I was kind of envisioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of feeling like more of a scout camping situation.
Yeah. I was thinking actually Haley Mills, The Parent Trap.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that's very scout like.
Cool. Well, to our dear listeners, thank you for hanging in there with us. Please email us greatideapod@gmail.com with your great ideas, or if you have any thoughts on the ideas we mentioned. Louise, do you have a challenge for me for our next episode?
I do.
Lay it on me.
The challenge is not one word. It's to find a solution. If you've ever been washing your hands at the bathroom sink and you go to turn on or off the water and it makes the countertop wet because your hands have been wet. I don't know what to call that other than bathroom faucets.
Right. Bathroom faucets. Okay.
That's your challenge.
Faucets. I'm just writing it down right now. Okay. So my challenge for you, and I apologize if we have done this idea before or this challenge before. I need you to come up with an idea for getting us to record these more regularly.
Okay. I'm on it.
Sure, big life changes happen. We get carried away. However, you and I, we're best friends. We have been for a really long time.
Yeah.
Together. Yes, we're on opposite coasts, but that doesn't matter.
Never stopped us before.
All we have to do is add or subtract 3 from whatever time we're talking about and make it happen. Your kid is in preschool?
She is about to be 3.
She's about to be 3.
Yes.
Right. Okay. My kid's in 1st grade. She has her own life.
Yeah.
She's doing things. Yeah. So my challenge to you, I don't
I
know,
love it.
maybe it's an app. Maybe it's
Okay.
a, I don't know. That's for you to figure
Regular
out.
potting. I love it.
Yeah.
I love
Now,
it. Okay, I'm on it.
yeah. Now, I don't remember how we end these episodes.
I think, did I just say thanks for hanging out?
Well, thanks for hanging out with me.
Thanks for hanging out with me.
I don't see it happening.